As we rank up in Rocket League, it becomes more and more difficult to eliminate bad habits that we developed from early in our careers. Today we'll be taking a look at some common mistakes made in the higher ranks of Rocket League that largely stem from bad habits we developed early on, and we'll discuss how we'll be able to fix them. So let's just go ahead and kick it off and see what we're working with here. Be careful of the resources that we're using here. What we really want to do in this situation is really be paying attention to how this guy is approaching the ball. Because with the fact that he might be shooting this, yes, we're going to use boost to try to get back to the net because there is an immediate threat on the goal. But as soon as we see that he's clearly just diving out of the way because he's horribly misread this ball, we do want to kind of chill out on the boost, wait to kind of see what's happening, and then work where we need to go off of that. Because we are going to commit 3/4 of our boost to just drive up the field here. We're all the way down to 35, and we've done nothing. So realistically in this situation, when you turn, okay, we see he's not going for it, you don't need to full boost down this wall and rush forward. You can just simply jump off the wall, air roll your wheels back to the ground, and wave dash. And if there is the play moving this way, then you can use a flip to get up to supersonic instead of wasting 70-some boost to do the same thing. Yeah. And then be careful of touches like this. So what I would strongly recommend is to just start to train yourself to look at this less and less. What I've kind of heard and what I've kind of been striving for, 30% on the ball, 70% on the other players. Once you play Rocket League for long enough, this ball is going to get hit into the air, and it's going to follow the same trajectory it does every single time. So at a certain point, we can kind of assume we know exactly where this ball is going. The thing we can't assume is how these players are going to impact this ball. So these are the guys that are actually going to change what the ball does. If they don't touch it, we know exactly what the ball is going to do outside of a few weird bounces. So try as much as possible to get your eyes off the ball and more on to the other players. And the reason I bring that up here is because if we look at where all the players are positioned here, we have Jose here on the wall with us, ZN in the back, and our teammate all the way over in this opposite corner. The last thing we really want to do in this situation is just plop this ball out so that it lands right in the midfield, where this guy can just easily drive forward and counterattack onto your net. Your teammate's not in a position to be able to quickly attack the ball, and even if he does get there, the angle that he's coming from is so bad that the ball is just going to end up in your half anyway. So what I'd like to see here is make use of the fact that this guy's running away, and this guy is nowhere near you, to just sit behind this ball. You don't even have to do anything. Just sit with it. Because at the end of the day, if this guy wants to turn and challenge, even with your 8 boost, you can still make a challenge on that. Because you just kind of chuck this ball away, and now your teammate's gonna dive going, oh gosh, I have to get a touch on this ball. And as soon as he gets beat, it's now just a completely open net. But that all stems from you just dropping that ball into the midfield instead of just playing patient with it. And then another really small thing, we want to preserve our boost as much as possible. So this is again a moment where I'm gonna encourage a jump and a wave dash off this wall because you're gonna land with 20 boost. You're gonna jump, you're gonna drive down and use all of that boost to get forward. There's not gonna be any boost in the midfield. You're gonna pick up 1 pad. But imagine in this moment right now, if instead of 12, you had 32 boost. This would be a much more juicy looking ball if you had that 32 boost instead of 12. So it's very small things like this that make a difference once you get to these ranks. The team that utilizes the resources better is normally going to be the one that's going to win. And this is one moment where you very easily could have had a goal scoring opportunity, but because you burned 20 boost here, now you don't have enough to make a play once you get to the offensive end. Another boost comment in this situation. So this is fine. You realize, okay, we don't have this. We're going to half flip out. You recognize, okay, they're going to have the touch. That's fine. You're sitting at midfield with 23 boost. You're going to flip all the way back to the corner. You're going to pick up the full boost. Now you recognize, okay, teammates won the ball. And now you're going to burn all the way back down to 60 to get back to the midfield. So you started at 23 and you've gained a net of 37 to basically get back to where you started. So instead of doing this and just kind of moving really fast everywhere you're going, look for these boost pads. Because you actually have a great opportunity here, even if you end up having to go all the way back, to get 36 boost right where I'm looking. Because we're assuming that maybe we have an offensive threat coming at us, which is why we're like, okay, yeah, let's get back. Instead of committing directly to the corner, we can get in this line on the field, and if we just drive straight, we'll get 1, 2, all 3 of these boost pads, and then we'll be in position to drive up the backboard if we need to, or defend the net if we need to do that as well. A lot of times, it is really unnecessary to run all the way out for a corner or a mid boost. It's often much more effective to just go for the small pads. So focus on that. And this is another open net. So this is something that's really important and something a lot of people don't really think about. I want you to look at the way you're challenging this ball. So with how you're approaching this, you are putting your car on the opposite side from where your goal is. Because your goal is back here, so it's on this side of the ball. So if we meet this dude on this challenge, and all things are pretty much equal, the ball is going to squirt out kind of this way, which is directly towards our net, which is not what we want. Ideally, if we're going to challenge this, we want to stay on side of our goal if it's a clear 50-50. If we're going to win the ball, and it's obvious we're going to win the ball, then sure, yeah. Just chip the ball up this way, up the wall, that's great. But if we notice we're going to have this 50-50 situation, we don't want to put any risk that this ball is going to go back towards our net. Because priority number 1 is not to score. That's great if we can do that. But priority number 1 is always to make sure that we're not giving up easy opportunities on our own net. That idea even aside in this situation, this is a really important lesson on patience. Because, yes, he lands awkwardly, so we think there might be an opportunity, but this ball is still really close to him. And again, if we look at the position of the other players, he's really close to the ball, so highly likely that we at least have a challenge there. Our teammate's stuck, basically on our opponent's backline. So if we lose this ball in any way that sends it back towards the midfield, worst case scenario, we give up an open net. Best case scenario, we've left our teammate in a 2v1 while he's absolutely rushing as fast as possible to get back. So if you ever see these awkward situations, it's always just better to just wait and to see what's going to happen. Because you don't want to give up bad opportunities because you got ball hungry. And then right here, we're going to get ourselves in a very awkward spot once again from just being too aggressive. So again, we're going to look at the position of the other players. Teammate, awkward, 50-50 coming here. This guy's rotating back. We have no idea what's about to happen with this play. So we recognize that ZN is kind of in an awkward spot. It's highly likely that he just hits the ball out into the midfield. And if we take a quick peek at Jose, he's pointed this way. He's pointed back towards the backboard. So you are in a perfectly advantageous position to be able to attack this ball quickly if it pops out to you. But the closer you get to this play, the harder you make it for yourself to react to where this ball goes. Because where it's at currently, you have no opportunity to get on this side of the ball and shoot it into the net. It's just not going to happen. So you want to probably stay a little bit further back and wait to see how this develops, because look, this guy's just going to tap this ball forward. You would have been literally right here in the midfield to just jump on this. You would have been right in this guy's face for a challenge right now, instead of being backwards to the ball, and now you gotta do this weird backflip thing that kind of works, but also just gives away possession to your opponent once again. and doesn't really benefit you in terms of supporting your offense. So just be careful about how close we get to plays, especially when they look really awkward. It can be really tempting to dive in, and oftentimes it doesn't really work out because we had no idea what to actually expect. Here's another prime example of being aware of where our teammate is. Because all we're doing here is literally passing this ball to our opponent. Because we're not shooting this. We're really just hitting this ball off the backboard and it's bouncing back out to them. And our teammate is completely out of this play. So these are the ones that you really need to be careful of. This ball is totally free. You don't need to jump for it. You choose to, and you don't have a whole lot of options of things to do with it. Because your only option is really to hit it off the backboard or attempt a shot that will probably be easily saved. So in this instance, we see this ball come to the side. There is no reason that we need to just go for this as fast as possible. Again, incredibly important to look at the other players. In the air, facing towards the net, out of the play. This ball is coming across this way. This guy ain't gonna turn that fast to really apply a whole lot of pressure. So you can just let this ball come over to you, catch it, and make a play with it. At the point that you see your teammate in as awkward a spot as this, your number one goal is to make sure you control the ball long enough for them to get back in the play. Because if they're still out of the play when you take yourself or your opponent takes you out of the play, it's just an open net the other way. Be careful of these hard drift turns. This is another one where, again, you don't need this mid boost. There's plenty of pads for you to take. You don't need to flip so aggressively for this mid boost. You can just kind of chill, take some pads here, see what's happening. You don't need to burn all your boost to go all the way out to mid. And now you're kind of dead on with the ball where you need to do this hard drift turn to face it again. Whereas if you were, say, here, you're at a much better angle to actually play this ball instead of here, dead stopped. One of the biggest things, especially at the higher ranks, is maintaining your momentum as much as possible. The longer you can be smoothly moving around the field, the better off you're going to be. Because from this spot, ZN does not take advantage of the position you're in. Because you are dead in the water right here. If he just jumps and flips into this and puts this thing on net with power, you're toast. It's over you. There's no shot you're getting back. Because you're too close, you have zero momentum, and you're not catching up to this ball if it goes over your head. So I would recommend to just stay facing back towards the net. Don't turn and face the play like this until you see there's an opportunity for you to actually go in for the ball. Because if he doesn't air dribble this, it's a good chance it's a goal. And then here again, we're going to talk about small boost pathing. So you got 8. Not a lot of boost, certainly. We're definitely worried about some kind of offensive threat here. Teammate in an awkward spot. One opponent right here in a position where he could go for the ball. We don't want to be committing all the way for this corner boost when there's a threat. And you're going to recognize that after you flip in this direction. Because you get around here and then go, oh shoot, I need to go back. But by doing that, you get this boost pad and that's it. So instead, what I would recommend is this line right here. 1, 2, 3 pads. You're now over 40 boost and you're in a perfect spot to defend. So look for this line on the field as often as you can, as opposed to these corners, because it'll keep you tighter to the play and will allow you to make plays more quickly. The only exception to this is if there's literally no threat on the net, there's no reason for you to be back here, then you take your time and go get these corner boosts so that you can make sure you're trying to arrive where you want to be when you need to be there. But yeah, if you just took these 3 boost pads, you'd be in a much better spot. Luckily, they flubbed the shot, so you know. Boy. Okay. So, you get yourself in trouble here in one simple spot. So this is all fine. I like this. You're showing your teammate, hey, I'm open for a pass. Your teammate takes that pass. You don't need to jump immediately. There's nothing telling you that you need to absolutely blast this thing on target as soon as you get an opportunity. You can let this ball fly for a little bit, swing out a little wider to give yourself a better angle to play with, and get a little further upfield so you can actually put this ball on target. This dude's rushing back as fast as possible, so even if you give a little bit extra time, you might even put him in a worse spot. Because if he gets back to the net and then has to hit the brakes, because of shots coming through, it's a lot worse than him being able to attack the ball at full speed. But because we try to go immediately, and it's just not an angle that we can actually shoot the ball from, we end up again just passing it off the backboard right to our opponents, and it's just a completely free goal. So again, it's all about assessing how worth it something is. Because if you mess this up and it's not perfect, you're getting scored on. There's just no two ways about it. If you hit this ball off the backboard, it's a goal for them. Again here, I'd be a little careful at how far you're running away. Because we have a good offensive opportunity here. Teammates just picked up the mid boost. Let's consider the situation these guys are in. Has just taken the kickoff. Low boost. Cheated up and then lost the mid boost. Low boost. There's only one corner boost for these guys to get. So only one of them is going to have boost to play with. You're on 23. You can easily just look for a couple more pads here in the midfield and turn upfield, knowing that your teammate has control. But instead, you're going to use all this boost to again flip back to this corner. And you're basically saying, okay, teammate, go ahead and do this on your own, because I'm not going to be back upfield to be able to help you. So be careful about how often we're just running away from the play to go get these corner boosts when we could just grab a couple pads. Because if you look, there's right here. Boom, boom, boom. 36 boost right there as you turned upfield. That would have been perfect, and you would have been in a great spot as your teammate was coming down the field with this ball, instead of being all the way back in your own half where you can't really support him. Small thing right here, just be careful of flipping into the wall. It does slow down your recovery a bit. This is really the first time I've seen you do it. And flipping into this ball is not really going to yield any extra benefit. So we can just jump at this thing, air roll our car back to the wall, land with our wheels, and drive away, instead of nose planting into the wall, which is going to make things very awkward for recovery purposes. The one thing I will say, once we have decided to let him go, try not to be turning back towards the corner here. You end up turning while you're getting bumped. So you boost down, this is fine, cool, chilling, you get bumped. And as you're in the air, you're turning to the left, which ends up pointing you back towards the wall. And there's nothing really for you to do over here. This isn't helpful. We see that our teammate has space now. The only way this ball could be going is back this way. So if we could land still facing like this, then we can drive out and face the net to be able to be a passing option for our teammate. Because if we're facing the net, there's a pretty good chance that we can score that. That's a scoreable ball, but again, we've taken out our ability to be in a spot to score out of the equation by just driving out of the way. So overall, if I was going to kind of list all the things that I really saw, jumping and wave dashing off the wall instead of boosting down is something that I think you should really work on. Not committing for big boost when you don't need to. When there's small boost pads that are available, more easily accessible, and would keep you more involved in the play, those are the things you should go for. Just keeping an eye on the other players on the field. Recognizing when you can go ahead and dive in for a ball, and when doing so will just hurt your team and create an opportunity for your opponents. A lot of times if you see awkward situations, it's really important to be able to identify where everybody is and what is most likely to happen next, so you can act accordingly, because you never want to be the reason that your opponents are just getting a completely open net. I do hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be more involved in this community, please consider joining my Discord, linked down in the description. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.